Donald Trump Jr., who was in court again this morning. There he is.
This isn't just random noise. It's the sound of a public that has been watching and listening, a soundtrack to the legal battles that now seem to follow the Trumps wherever they go. The charge? A massive $250 million fraud trial that cuts to the very heart of the family's business empire.
Professor's chanting crime family, and that is basically what these people are, a crime family, a very dumb crime family. On the stand, he's testifying in this $250 million fraud trial, and he has to compliment, he said his father is an artist with real estate. Yeah, he's an artist. He's Vincent Van Gogh to jail with real estate is what he is.
Donald Trump Jr. defended himself by portraying his father as the artist with real estate. The argument was that his father was the creative genius, and therefore he wasn't in a position to question the work of their accounting firms.
I'm not supposed to rely on a big five accounting firm, like one of the biggest accounting firms in the world. I can pay them millions of dollars. I rely on them to do accounting, but I'm supposed to know more than them.
And then the story gets better. He said it loud that he even doesn't know. Unlike a patient who simply trusts their doctor, a top executive has a fundamental duty to understand and take responsibility for the very financial documents they sign.
By this logic, insurance companies are going to start suing patients for listening to their doctors. Right? Do you understand? Like, am I supposed to know more? Oh, Don Jr. doesn't know anything about it. I'm not an accountant. I'm a business guy.
The analogy is fundamentally flawed, a desperate attempt to dodge accountability by pretending to be a helpless bystander in your own company.
I'm a business guy who had his elbows soldered together, and now...
To control the public narrative, the Trump team launched a media blitz, sending attorneys out to aggressively push their version of the story, that they were completely innocent.
I've been asking the kids, and tell me how they fit into all of this.
They don't fit into all of this. What have they been asking the kids? It's very simple. They'll ask the kids, did you give a value to somebody? Did you do something? And everybody said resoundingly no. And these kids did nothing wrong. They should not be in this case. Ivanka's already out of the case. The boys should not be in the case.
And while his lawyers focused on defending his children, the man at the center of the storm had a much simpler and more forceful message of his own.
New York's Attorney General Letitia James has accused the Trump Organization of engaging in a fraud scheme that netted the family hundreds of millions of dollars by falsely inflating company asset values. The Trumps have denied any wrongdoing.
I've been doing deals all my life. I became very rich. You see that in this stupid court case that I have in New York with, the numbers are much higher than on the statements.
But the mockery didn't stop with the absurdities of the courtroom testimony. It soon evolved into something much bigger, taking on a life of its own online.
Yesterday, the Court of International Trade ruled unanimously that Trump does not have the authority to implement the big, beautiful tariffs he's slapping on everyone. Trump has changed his tariff policy more than 50 times, as any stable genius would. And then about a new nickname that's been making the rounds on Wall Street. They're calling him Taco, which is an acronym for Trump always chickens out, Taco.
And so a new nickname was born, an acronym reportedly cooked up on Wall Street for Trump always chickens out. It was simple, cutting, and as Kimmel's viral parody song proved, incredibly catchy.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation, but don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead.
The thing that would make it worse is if somebody changed the lyrics to a song by his beloved Village People to drive it home.
Taco, taco man. I want to be a taco man. Taco, taco man. I've got to be a taco. Taco, taco man. I want to be a taco man. Taco, taco man. I've got to be a taco.
To understand the headlines and the controversies, you first have to understand the man. And perhaps no one has offered a clearer psychological window into Donald Trump than his own niece, clinical psychologist Mary Trump.
I'm Mary Trump. You might know my uncle is the authoritarian, convicted criminal con man currently wrecking the country from the safety of the Oval Office. But for the vast majority of my life, I've just known him as a fucking loser.
One of the things he's most afraid of, to have people understand that everything about him that's projected publicly is based on a myth, that he's literally nothing of who he claims to be. Understand that he has to, like, in order to protect his psyche, in order to protect his extraordinarily fragile ego, has to project this idea that he's the greatest, the best. He's always speaking in hyperboles. He's trying to convince himself as much as he's trying to convince you, me, or everybody else, right? Then we understand that he doesn't really believe it either.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I do get good ratings, you have to admit that. I've had a great, successful career. I built a great, great business.
Mary Trump points out in her new book, quote, Donald had none of the requisite skills to succeed on his own. But she writes, quote, his willingness to do anything to fit within his father's mold made him the recipient of tens of millions of dollars to maintain the illusion of brilliance that never existed.
That deep-seated insecurity she describes helps explain the almost cartoonish levels of sensitivity he displays when criticized. There's no better example of this than his legal battles with the media, a subject Jimmy Kimmel knows well.
Trump suing CBS for $20 billion because an interview they aired with Kamala Harris caused him mental anguish. He can sue them for mental anguish. Imagine how much we could sue him for.
And it's precisely that behavior, the constant stream of online attacks and grievances, that has been a defining feature of his public persona for years. Political commentator Ana Navarro has a particularly blunt diagnosis for it.
Can't control your tweeting habits? Then stop tweeting. Go seek therapy. Go knit. Find a hobby. Talk to your wife. Do anger management. You've got to realize once and for all, you are no longer just Donald Trump. You're no longer just speaking for Trump Tower and Trump brand and Trump hotels and Trump steaks. You are speaking for an entire country. And our people do not deserve to be embarrassed and be represented by somebody who is so unfit for the job.
Her argument isn't just political, it's personal. It's a plea for a standard of behavior she believes has been completely abandoned. But perhaps the most stunning irony of the mean girl behavior Ana Navarro described is that the official White House campaign to stop online bullying came from the First Lady herself. It was a noble cause, constantly overshadowed by one glaring, unavoidable fact. The nation's most prominent cyberbully was her own husband.
What did you see personally that you thought you wanted to tackle this issue?
I could say I'm the most bullied person on the world.
You think you're the most bullied person in the world?
One of them.
On paper, it was a noble cause aimed at championing the well-being of children and, most famously, fighting against cyberbullying. The only problem? The most powerful cyberbully in the world wasn't some anonymous troll in a basement. He was the man she shared a home with.
As First Lady, I believe we need to fight against the cyberbullying. All of the people on the Twitter who are saying the bad things, we need to stop them. We need to make sure that they cannot carry on what they're doing.
And so the cycle continues, a narrative of grievance and denial shielded by power. But as long as it does, the jesters and commentators in the court of public opinion will be there to expose the absurdity and ensure they have the last laugh. Just a quick note for you all. This channel is committed to responsible commentary. We strictly follow all of YouTube's community guidelines, and every clip you see is sourced from public media. If you appreciate that approach, please subscribe to stay with us.